Today we're working on multiplying polynomials, which I've heard you guys refer to as FOIL, which makes me feel good that this is probably going to be familiar. We're just taking it up a notch because everything in Algebra 2 Honors takes it up a notch. Here's our first example. Go ahead and write that down. 3b plus 1 times 2b minus 5. And I tell you that we are foiling. We're doing first, outer, inner, last. So the first two pieces you're going to multiply together. 2v times 2v means that I have 6 and it's v squared. And then we have to do our outer pieces. So I'm taking 3v times negative 5, which gives me negative 15v. Then I have to take inner, which is 1 and 2v. That gives me 2v's. And then I have to take last, which is 1 and negative 5, giving me negative 5. I have some like terms that I can combine. These two guys are like terms. I'm going to go ahead and bring him down though. So we have 6v squared. I combine my like terms, that gives me negative 13v. And then I go ahead and bring my last term down. And that's your final answer. Quick refresher on FOIL before, again, like I said, I take it up a notch. Here is the second problem we're going to do. Go ahead and write that down, x squared, and then x minus 3, and then x plus 3. The first thing I like to do is FOIL these two inner terms. Even though there are three terms that are being multiplied together, I think it's easier to FOIL first and then worry about the outside term last. So I'm going to bring him down so I don't forget about him. And then I'm going to do first, outer, inner, last. So x times x gives me x squared. That's first. Outer gives me 3x. Inner gives me negative 3x. And last gives me negative 9. First, outer, inner, last. Again, I'm going to bring him down. Then I'm going to combine my like terms, x squared. These two guys end up canceling each other out, because 3 minus 3 means there's none. And I bring my negative 9 down. Now what I'm doing with this next piece is I'm taking the outside and I'm distributing him to what's on the inside. And we learned yesterday that if you're multiplying two things together, you are adding the exponents. So this multiplication is going to become x to the 4th power, and then I distribute and I get negative 9x squared. And that is your final answer. Here's this guy. We've probably never dealt with exponents that are variables, so let's talk about that right now. Again, we're going to FOIL. So I'm going to take my first two pieces and multiply them together. So remember, if you're taking something like this and we're multiplying two things together that have the same base, we are adding the exponents. So I get x, and then I'm taking n plus n. And n plus n means I have two of them now. I'm adding my exponents together. I almost don't even want to do that yet. I'm taking n plus n. So that's first, and now I'm going to multiply my two outer pieces together, and that gives me negative x to the n power. Then I'm going to multiply my two inner pieces together, and that gives me a positive x to the n power. And then last but not least, I'm going to multiply my two outer pieces together, which gives me negative 1. Alright, so now I'm thinking, okay, what are my like terms? What of this can I combine? I can combine these together, but that's just negative 1 plus 1, which means these guys cancel each other out. I'm going to go ahead and bring these down to write my final answer. So I have x to the, remember, n plus n is 2n, and I bring down my negative 1. So just remember that if you're multiplying, you add the exponents, adding exponents. Here's our last example. This looks crazy. Go ahead and write it down. It's a plus 2b, and then in parentheses, a to the third minus 2a squared b minus b to the third. Now this looks very intimidating, but all this is, I think of it as a giant distribution problem. So what you do is you take your a and you distribute it to all three of the pieces in here. And then we're going to take our 2b and distribute it to all the pieces in here. Then we'll combine our like terms and we'll get our final answer. So when I take a times a to the third, remember you're adding your exponents, a has a secret 1, that gives me a to the fourth power. Then I'm going to take a times negative 2a squared b, that gives me negative 2, but now it's a to the third because I'm adding my exponents, and then b. Then I'm going to take a times negative b to the third, and it's negative a b to the third. So I've multiplied my first term times all three in my parentheses. Now I'm going to take my second term and do the same thing. This gives me positive 2, and it's a to the third b. With this one, when I take him times this, it's 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4. And then I have a squared, and this has a b to the first, and this has a b to the first, which means now I have b to the second, adding your exponents. And then I take this times my last term, which gives me negative 2, and then it's b to the, this is to the first, that has 3 of them, so now we have 4 in our last term. Now I'm looking for like terms, anything that I can combine. I see that this is a to the third and b. This is also a to the third with 1b, so I can combine them. This is a to the fourth power, and nothing else has a to the fourth power, so I can't combine that with anything. This guy is just a to the first power, and nothing else has a to the first power, so I can't combine him with anything. So I'm just going to bring him down. This guy has a squared and b squared, nothing else has a squared and b squared, so I'm just going to bring him down. This last one right here is just all the b's, so negative 2b to the fourth. And then these are the only two things that I can combine. And one's negative and one's positive, so they're really just going to cancel each other out. On a test, however, if you left your answer like this, I would take off some points because it's not in the correct order. A to the fourth is written first because it has the most a's. But this guy has 2 a's, so he needs to be actually written second. Negative 4a squared b squared. He has 1a, so he's next. And then this guy doesn't have any a's, so he is last. And this is your final answer. We'll do the try on your own in class tomorrow. Again, you have 2 shots to try to get them all right. Good luck.